Welcome everyone to Clarky's Closet, a podcast. And today we are listening to some topical songs, 2022-ish and before. Hello everyone, I told my wife that I was going to call this, or that I had in fact called this, Clarky's Closet, a podcast, and she said, sounds like you're an old gay guy. So if you want to think that, you can, all right? I'm a married man, it's not a cover-up. I just wanted to call it Clarky's Closet. I thought it was a good idea. In retrospect, maybe it wasn't, but that's what I've called it. So I've done the intro. I'm not going to do the bloody thing again. I suppose it wouldn't be too difficult to do it, would it? But I've already done 9 shows, so stuff it. I'm not that conscientious. I just thought I'd put some of these down for posterity. And I'm going to start today's stuff with something that was topical back in 1983, 84. Yeah, December 83 this is called, so that would make it 1983. I remember I was playing these songs over in America when I went there for a holiday in 1984. And this is basically outlining the state of the world at that time. Things weren't going too well. It was halfway through Reagan's administration, and the evil empire of Russia was always doing the same bloody things, aren't they? Well, they never learn. Bloody Putin's buggered it up for them this time, and at this time, prior to Gorbachev, things weren't looking very good at all. The song basically tells you the story of what was going on pre-Gorbachev. Thank God the American president and the Russian premier got on very well together, and the wall ended up coming down, which was fantastic. So in the late 80s, 89 was it? It came down and things were going well until the recent war in the Crimea, in Ukraine. I am going to play you the song now. It's called By Fools for Fools, and it's about all of us, really. And here we go.
My eyes can see which way the wind blows. The interest in the Falklands back in 82 was no surprise. They're testing their supplies. History can teach us all a thing or two. The Spanish Civil War was a testing ground too. What can you do? What can you do? Dead eyes, somewhere near a child cries. Overhead projectiles from the sea to the shoe. Nearby to the south there lies the Sinai. Long time war between Arab and Jew. To the east and the Gulf full of blood and crude. Iraq wants around when she ran away. Now the Ayatollah's telling her she has to pay. What can you do? Because we're all such fools. What can you do? When it's just run by fools for fools. What are we to do? Up north there's a rerun in Korea. They're fighting in Southeast Asia. What's new? One torch will light up Dr. Africa. Gaddafi's got the Libyans on the move. Ethiopia is struggling with God knows who. Zimbabwe's having trouble with a new laid plant. Seems the blacks hate each other more than they hate the white man. Like we're all such fools. What can you do? When it is run by fools for fools. Someone swapped their bread rolls for a plane. What are we supposed to do? The world in which we live and move is governed by these biased tools we call our senses. What can you do? What can you do? What can you do? When it is run by fools for fools. up on her doorstep. Cuba was a stand, now Grenada is too. The Soviets keep prodding at the West. Ronnie counteracts with a show or two. The Russians sit tight around the Middle East crew. They play their chess on other men's boards, and if the game gets heated now, there'll be no one to applaud. My couple of such fools, what can you do? My couple of such fools, what are we supposed to do? Russians only get one news. Palestine and Syria, Afghanistan and Libya. And what are we supposed to do? U.S. Free Press local news. Israel and El Salvador, Vietnam and Korea. And what are we supposed to do? Washington was in a human zoo. And what are we supposed to do? Washington was in a human zoo. And what are we supposed to do with simple senses? What can you do? What can you do? What can you do when it is run by fools for fools?
Yes, well, these things do run in cycles, but isn't it funny how the Russians and the Americans always seem to get in there somewhere? The Americans are very good at fighting wars. They're always doing it. They've always got something going somewhere. And the Russians just haven't woken up to the fact that, or at least Putin hasn't woken up to the fact that we are, in fact, trying to move on in the 22nd century. And can't we just all get on together? Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, listen to the words to that song. You play it again and have another listen and think about what things were like then. Well, they're not really any better now, are they? But these things are cyclical. They get worse and better than worse, but still not good. If you're aware of the doomsday clock, it was set up in 1948 by scientists. They started it at what they said 7 minutes to midnight, and midnight was doomsday. Armageddon, mate, we're all gone. I'm getting out of here. Yeah, so it blew out to about 13 minutes when the wall came down. And I think the closest it was before that was about 3 minutes when JFK with the Cuban Missile thing. But unfortunately, at the moment, it's now at 100 seconds to midnight. And what that means is that the state of the world is in a parlous state. 100 seconds to midnight means we're 100 seconds, relatively, to the 7 minutes when they first, in 1948, just after the Second World War, they reckon we're only 100 seconds away from doomsday, which is pretty scary. That 100 seconds is just a relative judgment, obviously, but you see what I mean. 7 minutes blew out to 13 minutes. It's now at 100 seconds. It's even closer than it was under the JFK and all that nonsense. And nothing's really changed. Anyway, we'll get away from that. No, we won't. We won't get away from that because the next song is actually about the First War in 91, I think it was, with Saddam Hussein, and when he topped all of the oil wells. Do you remember that? And they got, who'd they get to? It wasn't Evel Knievel. They got somebody, a famous guy who topped them, snuffed them out like you would a candle with a big metal, a very, very clever way of getting around the problem. Because you don't want that sort of stuff going into the upper atmosphere and causing a sort of a nuclear winter type scenario. Not that it probably would have. It has to be knocked out by rain somewhere, as a good friend of mine once told me. But this is a story called Cinderella's Bedtime Story, and it's about Saddam Hussein, who, before he met his untimely end, had brought quite a few of other people to untimely ends. And this is a story about, well, how I saw the first Gulf War at the time. These songs, by the way, weren't recorded at the time. The last song, which was written in 83-4, was actually only recorded a few years ago. I think about 6, 7, 8 years ago, I forget. The miasma, that is time. I'm getting old. I'm getting old, I tell you. And I do love the Goons and Peter Sellers very much. Here we go. Cinderella's Bedtime Story.
Follow me down to the waves, little children, where the magic ocean lies. Follow me down to the waves, little children, it is time for you to rise. For we are a proud and a noble race, and we should be all as one. You see my image in every space, Am I not the chosen one? So follow me down through the desert green to the oldest land of all, where the sand and the sea and the sun all meet, and the ground is black with gold. Follow me down to the waves, little children, where the magic potion runs. For this is the first and decisive step of a holy war begun. But what are we going to do, Cinderella, now? What are we going to do, great one? What are we going to do, Cinderella, now? What are we going to do, great one? See how the kingdoms divided are by the infidels abroad. See how they meddle in our affairs, plant a dewdrop on our shores. So follow me down to the waves, little children, for we shall be all as one. The second Muhammad will surely rise. Am I not the chosen one? But what are we going to do, Cinderella, now? What are we going to do, great one? What are we going to do, Cinderella? Cut off the head, remove the scar. Little ones, Allah Akbar. Time to get my children on the move. They will pay for their meddling dearly, boys. I'll anoint myself with the blood. I will rise like a star on a stormy sea. I shall reign from high above. If they come, they will stay for a long, long time. Their economies will stall, and time will expose their hypocrisy as a hungry quest for oil. But what are we going to do, Cinderella, now? What are we going to do, great one? What are we going to do, Cinderella, now? What are we going to do, great one? First we shall start with a human shield, then we'll mine the oil fields round, and they'll dare not attack, or their precious oil will be useless in the ground. If they do, fire rain for 100 days, and the sky will thick with black, and the sun will be dim, and the chaos reign, which will bring the balance back. But what are we going to do, Cinderella, now? What are we going to do, great one? What are we going to do, Cinderella, now? Gather round, little ones. You don't understand, but Allah does. Sleep now, for tomorrow we must move. But what are we going to do, Cinderella, now? What are we going to do, great one? What are we going to do, Cinderella, now? What are we going to do, great one? What are we going to do, Cinderella, now? What are we going to do, great one? What are we going to do, Cinderella, now? Settle down, my faithful ones. Soon the sun will scale the 7 rocks. It is written that tomorrow we must move.
Cheery little show, isn't it, today? And there's more coming, I'm telling you. Who Am I is the next song, and, well, I won't tell you what it's about, but I think you can work it out fairly quickly from the lyric. But it's really about... I won't tell you. Bugger it. I'm not going to tell you. All right? You can just listen to it, and then we'll discuss it later. I'll be asking questions.
I am the wealth of information from the pitch and toss of tide. I am the history of the nations of mankind. I am the promise of tomorrow. I am the science of today. I am the happiness and sorrow of our yesterdays. I am the knowledge of the ages, the total sum of history. I am the gathering of the sages electronically. And I know that you know me, for we certainly have met. I'm the mirror of your soul,
Have you guessed me yet? I am the internet, the salvation and damnation of mankind. I promised you the universe, but first you found yourselves, and I showed you man is anything but kind. Some silence me with anger, they censor me in fear, for they can see the danger of my being here. Unfettered by these transients, onward I still race, and I will not be silenced, still I gather pace. And yet, for all this wisdom, this encyclopedia of time, I am mainly used to traduce, to disgrace and to malign, to gossip, to be spiteful, to poke fun and titillate. In short, I expose the vanity and the stupidity of our race. For I am the internet, the salvation and damnation of mankind. I am the tall tales of the victors, I am the misery of the slain. Whether read, typed out or spoken, still my facts remain. For I am the internet, the salvation and damnation of mankind. I promised you the universe, but first you found yourselves, and I showed you that man is anything but kind.
Was there ever a more misused tool than the internet? It's used for good, of course. We would hope some bloody good will come of the thing. It's really funny, you know, the whole world's in the pocket of every child at school. Shouldn't be, because they're not listening to their teachers anymore. But that aside, they don't seem to know a hell of a lot. I asked one kid, admittedly, he was one of the lowest classes, and you'll understand why I say that in a second. I said, well, who's the Prime Minister of Australia? And he said, Donald Trump. I gave up at that point. I can't remember what it was at the time. It was quite a few years ago now. But yeah, so, I mean, kids don't see... I get this thing with kids at school where they sort of say, oh, I wasn't even born then. What, history started with you, did it, mate? I wasn't around during Shakespeare's day, but I love his plays. Anyway... what was I getting on about? Oh, yes. So the next song is another real downer. Turn off now. You don't want to listen to any more of this. Yes, you do. Stay tuned, please. I need people to like my podcast. I have no idea how well it's going. This is the 10th one I've done, and I haven't released any of them yet, so I could just be talking to myself. I don't mind, really, if I am talking to myself. I often do that anyway. The problem is when you start arguing, when you disagree with yourself, then you do have mental problems. Okay, I will not digress any further. This next one is about how I was feeling about China's expansionist policy. I wrote this several years ago, and I'm not claiming to be any sort of prophet, but it took a long time before Australia started sort of making any noise about this, and the idea of China creating islands and building landing strips and ports across the Pacific seemed to me a sort of a form of a bribe. And it's interesting, isn't it? You know, like the money that the First World provides other countries is a form of a bribe in some ways, isn't it, for alliances, and especially the Pacific, because, well, nobody's there, are they, really? I mean, it's half the world, but there's not a lot there. And I think China does have expansionist dreams of going back to its halcyon days, which is what this song's about. I've got a sort of a bit of a PowerPoint sort of a film clip on markclark.com.au where you can actually read the words and have a look at some images I put up. It's fairly basic stuff, but it does the job. Now, I'm not sure what's going to happen in the Pacific. I mean, our Prime Minister has just had a meetings with Xi Jinping, and he seems fairly positive about things. And yeah, so our current Prime Minister, by the way, is Albanese. That's what he said. Albanese. Everyone calls him Albanese, but I notice he called himself Albanese, and I figure he'd know since it's about him. So anyway, he met with Xi or Jinping or whatever you want to call him, and he said that he's quite optimistic, more optimistic than he was before he had these conversations. Of course, Putin wasn't there, and they've just been called terrorists, I believe, and that he is, and he's dragging Russia down with him. It's going to take him decades to repair, they reckon. Anyway, that aside, this is about China. I don't know which way they're going to go with this whole world order thing. I don't think they'll shackle themselves with a pariah like Putin the pariah. So, here we are. This is a topical song, and it's called It Won't Be Long Now.
It won't be long now till more is gonna come our way. The First World War, then the pandemic. This time it's the other way. There are sabers rattling and pacts being made. China wants to return to her halcyon days. It won't be long now till more is gonna come our way. It won't be long now till all the walls come tumbling down. This time the Pacific will echo with the opening rounds. The last time it was Poland, this time it's Taiwan. The thunder clouds have gathered, soon the rain will come. So it won't be long now till all the walls come tumbling down. China's bribed the islands on the back of the globe with infrastructure loans to build their ports and roads, and landing strips to service Chinese planes for war, with the largest standing army in the world on shore. Democracy grows weak, autocracy grows strong. The communist sneezed and the West caught cold, and the selfishness of Westerners was badly exposed. So it won't be long now till war is gonna come our way. In the West they're shouting out, I got a right to go to church today. And entitled anti-vaxxers in Australia whine, while the third world is dying at the end of the line, while China builds 2 hospitals inside 2 weeks, and the military service is compulsory, because citizens must listen when Jinping speaks. So it won't be long now till war is gonna come our way.
While I was listening to that song, I realised that the song I'd been talking about before, I hadn't actually got a copy of on this computer. So I thought I'd better throw one on and play it for you now. This is actually a song for Putin that was written, this is my most recent song, I think, actually. Wrote this just a little while ago. It's called A Song for Putin, well, mainly because it's a song for Putin. And I put a little PowerPoint type thing together for this as well. It's actually, I don't know if it'll still be up when you are listening to this, but it's now November 2022, and at the moment it's on my website. If not, you can go to videos and it will be there for YouTube. All right. What was I saying? Well, nothing much, really. I was just talking to myself into this microphone. Here's a song for Putin.
There can be no disputing that the ghost of Rasputin clearly haunts the mind of Putin today. 'Cause Rasputin told the Tsar he should not go to war, but the Tsar went to war anyway. And then he lost his life, his children and his wife, and Lenin washed his kingdom away. So like Nicholas before him, Vladimir just wouldn't listen, 'cause his hatred stole his logic away. And his 3-day war tarried on for many more, and revealed an empire in decay. And the meat grinder churned Russia's young men into worms as the West and White handed away. Vladimir, you sold a lie to the mothers, families and wives of the many boys you selfishly betrayed. Russia's always paid the price for the indolent vices of the mega-rich to feast and play. With most of the loot in the coffers of a few, just like it was in Roman of days. But glad the world has moved on, you are on your own, and soon you will be made to pay. Vladimir, what have you done? As the whole world sits here watching on, you have dug a ditch from which you can't escape. There's no escape. There is no escape. For Vladimir, there's no escape.
Yeah, well, I don't think there is really. It's a massive tactical mistake he appears to have made. If you are listening in at some time in the future, and I guess you will be, because there's no way you're going to have already listened to this before I have recorded it. It's like past records. What a tautology that is. What sort of records you want? Records that haven't been even made yet? Anyway, I digress. Yeah, he's made a terrible mistake. He's pictures of people with mental and physical deficiencies, and old people with mental deficiencies and physical deficiencies, given a gun and basically thrown in as cannon fodder to appease his dreams of imperialism. Well, the song says it all, I think. And this happy show that we've got going today, the next song is called The COVID Conspiracy. We're going back now. Oh, was it 19? No, what am I talking about? It was called COVID-19, but it was actually the earlier part of the 20th century, wasn't it? What am I talking about? That was the one before, the 100 years before. I should really edit this stuff. I couldn't be bothered. That's how much care I take with my work. I couldn't be bothered. The COVID conspiracy. My daughter just got back from America, actually, just as this was breaking in February of 2020, and it's still hanging around. At the end of 2022, we're still worried about the latest, the ramifications of the latest variant. This is a song about the... look, if you were an anti-vaxxer, I'm sorry, I don't get it at all. This is something since Jenner, was it the 1700s, working out person pox, was it? Smallpox. I mean, it works. It palpably works, and I can't believe anybody would worry about side effects when the worst side effect is getting the bloody thing and dying. That's a fairly big side effect, I would have thought. Anyway, this is a song about people who carried on rather silly about this whole COVID thing and started listening to nonsense. And anybody can say anything on the internet, and there'll always be some idiot who'll decide to follow them, because they don't really understand that they should be reading medical journals and they're just listening to influencers, whatever the bloody hell an influencer is. Are we so stupid that we listen to somebody saying something? Yeah, it's right, isn't it? Here we are, the COVID conspiracy.
It is 2021 and the world is run by faceless men in cloaks with daggers, writing scripts for puppet men to say. For the world is flat, there's no doubt about that, and America knew about 9/11 well before that clear September day. Yes, you're right, you're so right. You know more than any of us. We are brainwashed, one and all. You're so right, as clear as night. This secret knowledge that you treasure makes you powerful while we are small. Like the nanobots injected in us all. This COVID scam was carefully planned by the men who staged the lunar landing, but this conspiracy must beat them all. For this time this arcane cabal has used their might to fool us all, and only clever people know the truth about it all. Yes, you're right, you're so right, you know more than any of us. We are brainwashed one and all. You're so right, as clear as night. This secret knowledge that you treasure makes you powerful while we are small. Like the nanobots injected in us all. It is 2021 and the world is run by faceless men in cloaks with daggers, writing scripts for puppet men to say. But when the shit comes down, we'll be walking around while you anti-vax conspiracy clowns are all infected or forever sulking in lockdown.
Yeah, the COVID conspiracy, eh? Oh, dear. And poor old Donald Trump, genius that he is.
Oh, well, if antiseptic works on the outside, I guess.
Fuck. I'm sorry. I shouldn't swear, trying to keep it clean, but honestly. I'm no lefty, but good God. What's going on in America at the moment, do you reckon? What's going on there? The abortion laws, they don't seem to value their women. They only value fetuses, but as soon as they're born, they say, well, they should have to, all these right-to-lifers should have to adopt a child each, shouldn't they? They don't shut them up. Yes, I think these Republicans, they're with this abortion bill. They want people not to be able to, Wade versus Roe. They don't want women to have the right, because I guess it's the fact that they're, Christians and feel that's the wrong thing to do, but they're not thinking actually, I thought maybe they're not thinking straight, but then I thought, well, hang on. If they do that and change the laws, which they're doing in a lot of states in America, that gives them more people to shoot. And they're really good at that in America, aren't they? Eh? Thousands upon thousands of people get shot each year and say, what do they say? Guns don't shoot people, people shoot people. Yes, they do, with guns. Okay, let's go to the last song on our topical list today. This show's a bit longer than normal. Normally go about 28 minutes long. Today, it's going to go more like 40. This is the final song for today, and this is a song that is about rewriting history. These revisionist historians. I love history. The thing is, if you don't know what happened in history, you can't learn from it, obviously. But that's why I wrote this next song, which is called Spinning in Circles. And really, it's a contentious issue, but should you really be censoring the past? I mean, they put Jefferson's statue into the museum because the History's Museum, because he had slaves. Well, yes, but that was in the context of the time. I'm not saying it was right. That's what happened. They put a disclaimer on Gone with the Wind, and they wanted to take the word Negro from Mark Twain's work. Was it Huckleberry Finn, one of the great literary works, written in two halves, actually. He wrote the first 9 chapters, was it, before the Civil War, and then the rest afterwards. But that's beside the point. The fact is they want to change history. Well, if that's the criteria, then I'm guessing that in the future it's quite possible people won't eat meat, will they? The way we're going, which is perfectly well and good. But would that mean that in the future, if they don't eat meat, that any references to meat must be eradicated from history? We just don't want to hear about it. We don't want to talk about it. It didn't happen because we don't like it now. And so we'll be thrown in the dustbin of history too. So this is called We're Spinning in Circles, and I'm going to finish the show off with it today.
Where you all gone? Down into the darkness where the sun ain't on. 10 little Indians, where did you go? Go ask Agatha, I don't know. Jefferson's statue, I ate you in the hall. They went and hid your ass behind them history's walls. And Confederate flag, why they take you down? Cause some evil motherfuckers followed you around. We're spinning in circles. We're spinning in circles once again. We're spinning in circles. We're spinning in circles. The world's turning circles once again. Why don't you tear down liberty? She was a French gift, and you know what the Froggies and Napoleon did. And take the word Negro from the works of Mark Twain, so the truth of yesterday is hidden from today. Place a disclaimer on Gone with the Wind, cause we don't like it now, it never happened then. Rip down history like ISIS did, with no respect for the past, so what history is. We're spinning in circles. We're spinning in circles once again. We're spinning in circles. We're spinning in circles. The world's turning circles once again. Circles, we're spinning in circles once again.
once again. But the truth is the truth. No need to apologize for history's views, 'cause just say in the future people don't eat meat. Should they rip us down and censor us from history? It doesn't matter whether you're a white or a black. Tomorrow's gonna judge you for your vandalous acts. And don't get all high and mighty with me. I know an angry mob and so will history. We're spinning in circles. We're spinning in circles once again. We're spinning in circles. We're spinning in circles once again. We're spinning in circles. We're spinning in circles. The world is turning circles once again. Once again.
So that's the show for today. I hope you enjoyed my topical songs. Yeah, the show has run over time today, but what the hell, you only live once. Probably. Good fortune until I see you next time. Once again, go to markclark.com.au if you're interested in listening to or looking at any of my stuff. Books, plays, stage and screen. Lots of songs. Goodbye.